All right, welcome. Today we have Laura Cross, a friend of mine, a colleague, and somebody I've worked with for a while. And this is the Wow Women Who Owned Their Worth interview series. The intention of this series, as a reminder, is to not only interview women who are owning their worth, but also interview women who are helping other women and men to own their worth. And so today we have Miss Laura Cross. I'm going to read a little bit about Laura. Laura is an Air Force veteran, which I really love about you because I grew up with what they called Air Force brats. I grew up with Air Force near the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. I was right there with a lot of base kids, and I saw a lot of kids come in and out and over the years. So I have a fondness for the Air Force community, the men and women in service in general. I really honor that. So you're a former Air Force. You're an Air Force veteran turned entrepreneur, which of course we're here. You're a self-care coach, yay, and multiple business owner, which we'll talk about today. I love this. Multiple revenue streams. Woo, woo. She's also co-authored Achieve Wellness and hosts the TV show Mindful Mondays with Laura Cross. So she has over 16 years of experience as a certified travel agent. She owns White Sands Premier Travel. Laura builds self-care communities. She runs a really successful Facebook group and is the founder of White Sands Self-Care LLC as well. She's a self-care leader dedicated to helping others prioritize their wellness and their well-being. So welcome, Laura.
Thank you, Lila. Appreciate that.
It's so good to see you, honey. So I want to ask you, first of all, well, let me tell the community, if you see me looking at my phone, all I'm doing is checking the comments, and I'm also going to take note of some of the really awesome pieces of wisdom that Laura shares during the interview. I do see we have somebody coming in, so I'm actually going to, that was coming in live to the Zoom. I'm actually gonna I'm gonna let her in and then put her off of video. I must have sent out the Zoom link, so I'm gonna go ahead and let her in real quick, okay?
Absolutely.
Okay. So everybody, if Sheila comes in here, Sheila's awesome, by the way. Yeah, so I'm gonna see here. All right, Sheila, welcome. We're gonna go ahead and start this interview with Miss Laura Cross. So it's good to have you, Sheila. Laura, I have a question for you. How in the world did you get into self-care?
Well, it has definitely been a journey. A lot of people don't realize or know that I lost my husband 18 years ago, and he was also an Air Force veteran. So was my father. We were laughing at lunch. He was dead by 10. It was that quick. And I got slapped in the face with reality. He was 36 years old, and I was 37 at the time. So my whole world just kind of came crashing down. And that's when I realized life was too short to answer for anybody else. And I needed to create my own space, my own time, and do things on my terms, because I didn't like not being able to be there for other people or, to help. And it was a long journey, but that's when I started with travel. That's how I got into travel. And then, we had COVID come along. It scared the snot out of everybody. And it's like, well, the reason I want people to travel is because I want them to escape that rat race and take better care of themselves. And so I morphed it over to self-care being my main focus. Still do travel. It's still an important part, but then it became self-care.
Yeah. It's travel's part of self-care, right? We have to, let go of all the day-to-day stuff we're doing for a while to come back to it even with fresh eyes, right?
Absolutely. I tell people, even if it's just a day trip, just because I say travel doesn't mean you have to. 7 days is ideal, 2 weeks even better, but not a lot of people have that time. Even if you just take one day, some people can only take a few minutes, but go somewhere different and make sure
Yeah.
that you take that time to reset.
Reset. I love that. So, Laura, I didn't know you were so young. I didn't know you were 37. You said he was 36.
Mhm. I
Wow.
had just turned 37. He died 2 weeks later, and he died 4 days before Christmas. So December 21st of 2004. So it's taken a long time to get back into Christmas, and everything else kind of leaves a mark.
Oh, that's so
Left a
young.
mark, I should say, for a long time. But
Yeah. Yeah, I know you've created a beautiful life since, but I didn't realize actually that. So thank you for sharing that. So you have multiple layers of self-care that you help people with. So travel is one piece. Will you just share briefly, what else around self-care do you support your community with?
okay, so if I can, a little bit how I got there. Before my husband passed away, I have the bulge disc at L5S1. I've been through the spinal injections, the muscle relaxers, the painkillers. And it had side effects that I didn't realize that was affecting my personal relationship, my life, everything in general. It wasn't until after my husband died and all that stuff wore out of my system that I realized that there's a lot of things out there that are natural that can help us, and that our bodies and our minds have the ability to actually heal yourself. I'm not saying medicine doesn't have its place. It does. But the most medicine I take now is a Zyrtec allergy pill when I need to. Otherwise, I have everything from wearable technology, which just is a matter of your brain reading a pattern, because our brain is one of the most powerful tools we have. The liquid collagen to help the joints, the bones, the skin. Gotta love the liquid collagen. Infrared biomats, vibration healing, frequency. There are so many things out there. It's just what resonates with you, what helps you.
Yeah, and I would love to add that, the wearable technology that you mentioned, like, are those the like those socks and the arm things and
Mhm.
stuff? I have some of those socks, and I really love them. And everybody here, if you don't already know, I personally love this liquid collagen that has hyaluronic acid and chondroitin in it, and promote it, all the time, and have since 2017. And Laura, you've got other technologies. I love the vibrational component. Everything is vibration, so you just get into the right vibe, and the body will start to align to the more original state.
Right.
Would you be open to sharing briefly about your experience in the past year with the liquid collagen?
Yeah,
What? Yeah.
absolutely. Well, I always try to keep a positive mindset. Positive mindset is a whole big thing with self-care. So when I found out, last year, it's like, okay, well, all right, so I'm 55 now, truth be told. So I am 55 now, which a lot of times I've had people lately that tell me I don't look like I'm 55. So thank you for that. But I wound up having to go and have a total hysterectomy done. And I kept telling people, I said, 3 holes in a robot. How hard can it be? And I cannot tell you how many people, everything was coming out. How many people told me, oh my God, I had that done too. I was down for 6 weeks. And I'm like, okay. So I set up my room to prepare for it. But I'm like, I normally generally heal fairly fast, but I have my wonderful friend, Lila, that, told me, she says, hey, best advice I could give you is to double up on your collagen before you have surgery. So I doubled up my order. I drank twice as much as I should, before I went in. And to quite frankly, I don't feel like I ever even had the surgery.
Yeah.
They gave me oxycodone. They gave me Tylenol or whatever for the pain and stuff. They gave me 1 oxy coming out of the surgery into the recovery, just because of the pain at the time. But other than that, I didn't know what was going on. You know how it is when you're waking up from a surgery and things are just kind of weird. But I never took anything after that. We went home, and yes, it was a little uncomfortable to sit up straight. It took about 2-3 days for those holes that they glued shut to, to heal without the pressure. But I was never down. My neighbor came over for me the next day to take Dakota to his appointment. She's like, "Oh my God, you're up." I'm like, "Well, yeah, I've been tossing the toy and playing with puppy, and yeah, I'm putting up." It was November, beginning of November, so I'm getting ready. We're putting the Christmas lights up while we got good weather and a Christmas tree, and I was never down. Didn't need the hormone replacement patch. I wasn't down. I honestly don't feel like I ever even had surgery. I never felt better.
So I just want to point this out that you double dosed,
Mhm.
which is fine. I think you can, take like, I don't think you can overdose on it. I think you have to take like almost 40 bottles a day to like overdose. You were hearing that it would take 6 weeks, and the next day you were putting up Christmas
Well,
stuff.
I was playing with the dog the next day.
Playing
Took
with
me
the
2
dog
or
the
3
next day.
days, but then we started the Christmas lights, and then I
2 or
dragged out
3
the
days.
Christmas tree, and I put the Christmas tree up myself. I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah, that's amazing. So I would say, as your friend, as your colleague, as your witness, somebody I've been connected with you for quite a number of years now, I would offer that to everybody, that she's recovered. The liquid collagen was helpful, and all of the other self-care that she had been doing before, during, and after. So that healing process was sped up. I was like so enamored. I mean, it gives me chills. Like when I remember like you were like within like a couple days, like 2 or 3 days, you were putting up Christmas decorations, and I was like, holy macaroni. I mean, that is what we wanted for you, and you had such a smooth experience, and I'm really grateful you shared that story, and that you felt good and you could continue to have a beautiful life. So her dog is named Bug.
Yep.
Will you share? I mean, we have to, because everybody that knows you knows
Oh
Bug.
yeah, yeah. If you're a dog lover like I am, and that's all my late husband Randy and I ever had for kids were dogs. So it's my mom gets grand puppies from me. She don't get grandkids. So I've always had dogs, and I adopted my best friend's service dog. So he's mobility and alert. They named him Skeeter. She called him Skeeter Bug. I call him Bug for short. Love him to death. He's more like a little love bug. And he is 12 years old now. And I always gave him the Cosequin because I learned that from my other dogs. They need something for their joints, and not to wait. It's just like people, don't wait until the problem is bad or worse. Try to be proactive rather than reactive. So I had him on Cosequin morning and night. He knows that word too. That's in his vocabulary. But he loves to play with the ring toss. And so we're throwing the ring, and he plays, he jumps, he'll catch it, he goes. And then next thing you know, he's limping. And even though he was limping, he still wanted to keep playing. And I'm like, okay, there had to be a better way. And of course, we have liquid collagen for the dogs. So I got liquid collagen in for him, and it was amazing. I even videotaped him, a short little videotape, because now we can play 3-4 times a day. He may get out of breath because the heat, he's still adjusting to the heat and the humidity in Missouri, but he's not limping. He's not hurt. He's not limping. And, he's 12 years old, but most people wouldn't know he's 12. He plays like a pup. So the liquid collagen made a huge difference for him too.
Oh, that just
Absolutely.
makes me so happy, because I'm such an animal lover myself. And I love Bug. I love seeing Bug. And I've seen Bug many times at many events and been able to pet him and give him love. And that liquid collagen has the hyaluronic acid and chondroitin in it. So it helps so much with the skin and the joints. And the hair and all that stuff with the joints for animals. So the fact that we have it for cats, dogs, and horses even is amazing. So I'm really glad you shared that story. It's adorable.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I would love to ask you this question.
Mhm.
Why is it difficult for some people? What are the biggest challenges? What gets in the way of self-care?
I think mostly it's just us getting in our own way. I mean, a lot of times, you grow up with this, you go to school, you get a degree, you get a job. Okay. Or some of us have learned to become an entrepreneur, but if you've noticed, you've gotten older, you stop doing the things you love, whether it's a sense of obligation or a sense of that, you have to do this or you have to provide it. You just start piling on all this stuff. Or maybe you're the caregiver type, like I always was. And people just give, and they take care of everybody else, and they put themselves last. I know we've all heard the airplane analogy. Not everybody flies, but if you've flown, they'll tell you if those oxygen masks come down, you put it on yourself first, and then you help other people. And that only makes sense, right? Because if you don't, you're going to pass out. You can't help anybody if you're passed out. And self-care really is the same way. My question is, why does everybody keep waiting until it's too late? Well, not even too late, but wait until they are so much in pain or stressed or anxiety to start doing this, when if you can build that practice in, you can handle what life throws at you better. You can have a different perspective. And it really affects your personal life. I'm a car person, so I always tell people, when you're trying to do that quick fix, or you wait to do self-care when you're in so much pain and you're trying to fix everything, that's like constantly topping the oil off in your car, and never changing the oil. Guess what happens? The engine seizes up. Your body is no different. If you just keep trying to patch and do quick little fixes, and you don't do something to regularly maintain your body, just like the car, you're going to give up. You're going to burn out. You're going to get ill or worse. I mean, that's just how it goes. But for some reason, we just get ingrained with, I got to do this, I got to do that. And we build up all this stress and anxiety, and we don't stop to take time to look of what we truly want. I had that conversation not too long ago. I love doing what I do. I never thought I would say there was something positive about my husband dying. It took a long time for a different coach for me to point that out. If my husband had not died, I would not be doing what I'm doing today. I would most likely still be stuck like everybody else, working whatever job I had to make ends meet, thinking that was fine. But the problem is we were happy, but we weren't truly happy. We had dreams of what we wanted to do. And when you can't be truly happy and do what you're meant to do, you're just kind of getting by.
That's beautiful. I would agree. I would say in my own life, even though a lot of people would look at me and say, you do a lot of self-care, which I do, I've had to, even the last year, really shift some things. My life lesson is definitely nourish yourself, Lila, before you nourish others. Because I love to wake up and help people. It's like what I love to do. And I've really shifted what I've done in the last year is I've shifted really even in the last like 3 to 6 months, even more so. But most days of the week, not every day, but most days of the week, I don't take meetings until 12 p.m. until noon. Like it's very like there's been a few things here and there that I'll do earlier than that. And if I do, then I don't do stuff later in the day. But
Right.
I won't take meetings now until noon. I might do some work on the computer, do some social media marketing, some posts, some connecting, some messaging with people, but actually being on a Zoom call, for example, or on a phone call, I won't do till noon. And then I'm done. The latest I go, because I have a teacher training certification program that goes until my time, 5:30. So that's really only like 5.5 hours that I might be, available on some days for, to be on, where I used to be, 8, 10, 12 hours. I would be booking calls, maybe not back to back, but in that timeline. And so I've really started to condense the time that I meet with people, which has given me a lot more time. I'm pretty good about self-care, but I needed to elevate my nourishment, my food. I wanted to spend more time in the kitchen, eating organic and juicing and making really fresh foods. And so I spend now on self-care about 4 hours a day. And I know you have a morning routine, and I know some people might not be able to spend 4 hours a day. I honor that. It might be too difficult with everything, with your job or your parenting, whatever. So can you share a little bit, like say somebody doesn't have 4 hours a day, but they need to integrate self-care. You have some coaching that you do with your clients, right? Like how does that work?
I do. And you kind of touched on it a little bit, because it really, what you did is you set those healthy boundaries for yourself. And so many times we don't. I was the one that never even used to like to read. Now I enjoy reading self-improvement. And even though you call it juicing or nourish, well, that's still part of self-care. I mean, there's so many realms of self-care. People get hung up on bubble baths and meditation, but it can be practical, it can be physical, spiritual, financial. It's a whole thing. It's not just one part. So if nothing else, start with 5 to 10 minutes. I know it sounds small, but that small few minutes can make a difference. And even if it takes you getting up 5 to 10 minutes. So if you're one of those people that are still going to work and you're getting a job, going to a job, how many times have you been frustrated, or it's like, oh my God, I've caught every light, I've got this. You go to work so wound up, but really it was just because you should have just left a little bit earlier. The traffic can be that way. So that's just a practical self-care thing. Set yourself up a little bit earlier. Stop setting yourself up to fail with that. Set yourself up to leave a few minutes earlier and get rid of that stress of going through all the crazy traffic. It'd be like, whatever, I've got time. Let that person go. I mean, you can really turn things around, and it can take just, a simple 5-10 minutes, and then maybe slowly increase it. You can help get your family involved. If you're living with family, ask them to take that couple of minutes to pick something up if a messy house, does it, or ask for help. A lot of times we just don't even ask for help, or ask them and tell them, hey, I just need a few minutes of quiet time. So that way you can regroup. Because when you get that stress and that anxiety, even though, we used to always say, work's at work, home's home.
Right.
Not that easy to separate. You might think you are, but if work really stressed you out or pissed you off, guess what? It's coming out in your tone. It comes out in your body language. It comes across and it affects your personal. So it's a whole balance, harmony, whatever you want to call it, but you got to work on all aspects. It's not just one, oh, this is done, that's fixed. And celebrate when you do something for yourself, no matter how small it is. Even if it's, hey, you woke up, you got out of bed, that's a good thing. Celebrate it. Not everything has to be negative, and I didn't get this done, I get that done. Focus on what you did get done.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I love how you mentioned reading as well. I have been reading more lately in the evenings at night before I retire for the evening. I've been reading, there's a book that I got really into, and I just really been enjoying reading, and I really enjoy reading. And then I've been riding my bicycle more, got new grips on my bicycle, riding bicycle more, and
There you go.
and really, I love what you said about we used to do things that we like, and then we kind of stopped doing that. I believe that, part of self-care is, if somebody's like, well, I can't figure out what to do, it's like, maybe look back when you were a kid, right? And figure out, like, what did you like to do? Like, I used to like to read and play outside. Like yesterday I was sitting in the grass watching all the ants and everything under the grass, just like hanging out in the sunshine. Sometimes I'll bring a blanket out, just lay out and just chill. I really like to hula hoop, which I don't do quite enough, but I should do it more. And so the topic of today is really linking self-care to personal and professional success. And I know we've mentioned, with personal, can you just touch base before we go today about, what is this link between self-care and professional success?
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's really all encompassing, and it's simpler than what maybe people are trying to make it. But when you do things that make yourself feel good, you're taking that time to create that space. You are, you dump, it allows you to be more creative, more present with work. And if you're more creative, you're not banging your head against a wall. Or if you can see something from a different perspective, maybe someone else's view is good, or maybe it'll help you advance. Or maybe if you're in your own business, it just launches a whole new idea of, I'm already doing this. Why not do this? It really gives you a totally different perspective. When you go into things already stressed, anxious, that's pretty much what consumes, your mind all the time. You don't have that time to reset and go away. I mean, even when I went back to school and went to take the college classes and stuff, I'm like, I was making it harder because I'm sitting there, oh my God, I got to get this done. But if I got up and I walked away and I just walked outside, all of a sudden, it's like a light bulb clicked on. It's like, why on earth was I making that so difficult? It's the same. I mean,
Yeah.
it's wild. It's odd. It's like you figure if you walk away, then you're really going to be late. You're not going to get it done. But it's really the opposite, because you're grinding the same information in your head. But if you walk away, focus on something else. I don't care if it's watching racing cars or watching something else, watch the birds, do something to engage your mind in something else. And then it'll actually click and come back. And it's like, I made that way harder than it had to be.
Oh, girl, I wish I would have known about self-care and all that when all my degrees that I went through. I have 12 years of higher education under my belt, and it wasn't until I hit rock bottom when my adrenals were shot and everything that I had to learn, all of this self-care stuff. So I'm like, I look back when you're talking, I'm like, oh my gosh, how much I racked my brain and wore myself out and made everything so much harder. If I would have just known to take a walk, I would have been so much better. Those statistics classes in particular would have been easier. So
mine was writing. They always told me what a wonderful writer I was, but I'm like, you have no idea how long I sat here and banged my head up against the computer to find the right words. I was like, okay.
Yeah. And people nowadays are doing that in their professional careers as well. And so, I love that, whether it be taking a walk in the moment or taking a vacation, a longer term for a reset, it's really needed. I love that component of self-care. It's a good reminder.
Yeah. And change your routine, change what you do. Instead of going to lunch and getting in the same gossip clutches, maybe you should just put on your noise canceling headphones, play a tune and go walk. To me, I always vision like these little hamster in a wheel. We are the walking definition of insanity. We keep doing the same thing over and over, but we want a different result. You can't do that. You have to make some kind of little changes, something to refresh and revive yourself.
Oh, I love it. I really keep picking up this from you. I want to kind of point this out to everyone, that what Laura keeps sharing over and over and over again is that it doesn't have to be massive. It can be one little thing. Like you said, don't go to lunch the same way, do it differently, right? 5 to 10 minutes earlier to work if you're driving, right? Add in something, maybe positive, like you love cars and watch racing that cheers you up. I love, if I want to my sweetheart BA, he thinks it's hilarious. He'll watch me watching like puppy videos, like dogs. I love animals, dogs and puppies. I've heard him on the phone before going, oh, I love seeing Lila smile so much. She's watching some dog videos. I found this music recently. I got invited to a concert, this gentleman and his band, Michael Franti. The music was such a high vibe, positive messages, talking about big love and everything's going to be better. And, all of this goodness. So I would listen to music. And so I love it. It doesn't have to be some massive self-care routine. It could just be, you don't have to wait till noon to take calls like me. You could just do these teeny little things over time. And that's, what Laura does is she helps you create that lifestyle. So will you share, you have a Facebook community, you have your TV show, which is like, congratulations. Will you share how, people can get a hold of you if they want to integrate self-care into their own?
Yeah, they can either message me directly on Facebook. I do have my website that I built and work on myself, so be patient with it. It's whitesandselfcare.com. And I also have a Facebook group that you talked about, the Facebook Connect and Collaborate, White Sand Self-Care. And so my Facebook group, everything I do, my Mindful Mondays, this is launching July 24th. So right now I'm still looking for those speakers that can add value to my audience and show them as the expert that they are, get them more visibility as well. But everything I do, I love building communities and support. There is nothing worse than going through things and feeling like you're alone and all by yourself. So I like to provide education and resources, that connection and collaboration, because I am not an expert in all realms of self-care. I just know self-care is essential. It's not a luxury. It's not, it's not an indulgence. It's a necessity. If you want to live that healthier life, get that balance and be more successful in your personal and professional life. So that's why I like building these groups. They're judgment-free, free spaces, because that's what stops a lot of people, is they're worried about being judged.
Yeah.
You know what? Be good with you and who you are. Other people normally are judging because maybe they're not there, they want to be, they don't know how to get there. But I like the judgment-free spaces. Get to know the people in the groups. If you have questions, ask. They're there to help you. Everybody's journey is different. None of our journeys look the same, but it's to provide support.
That's so beautiful, Laura. And I would say I'm all about, loving non-judgmental spaces as well in my programs, in my communities, in my personal life, and continuing to even work on that myself the moments I find the judgment, because I'm not perfect yet. I'm not quite fully enlightened, but I'm on my way, right?
We all are.
So what I would say is that I love what you just shared. And I would say for anybody who wants to connect with Laura, we will put her TV show information, her Facebook, her community information in the comments on this particular interview. And I would agree that she's very loving. I've known her for years. She's very non-judgmental. She's there to connect you, to support you, to collaborate with you. And then I will tell you, Laura, we did have some people ask about the technology. So I'll make sure that if you wanted to know about the technology devices that or equipment, or however you say it, that she's
Wearable technology.
Wearable technology. I actually have some of those.
Yep, I love them.
That. And so if you're interested in that, we'll make sure you get that information ASAP right after.
Absolutely. I'd love to give them information.
I have
Sure.
one more question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
If you were to say one thing to all women who want to own their worth right now, what would it be?
Value who you are. You have a lot of value to give to a lot of people. Don't worry about what other people think or what they judge, because you have a lot to offer. It comes down to that judgment-free space. Don't be afraid to be you, because you have a lot of value.
You have so much value. That is beautiful. I love to say, when you value yourself, others value you. So that's like so in alignment with this group. So thank you, Laura. This has been a pleasure. I'll see you soon. Bye, everyone. And as a reminder, this is your year. Step up and own your worth. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.